Hello, this is Pixie doing a video. Just about really no contact actually. It may be, I don't know, because I don't associate myself as MGTOW. I understand that field and on sort of theory, but anyway, I'll get back to that in a bit. So, I mean, for me, I had a bad experience that I had to get over, and it was a difficult one, because the worst time to have, well, I guess there is no good times, is there? But I think when you had the potential to show someone how kind and loving and everything supportive you could be, you could turn into this super white knight, which might be a pain in the arse, but it doesn't have to be there forever. If a woman told me what she wanted, I would try to reach that goal. If she wanted to be left alone, that's fine. I'm just trying to be what I think a man should be, and it may be that's incorrect because I've been fed sort of Disney bullshit and stuff, or it's just the natural state of being a bloke. That I want to be a provider, a protector, a supporter, a builder. You know, I want to be a facilitator in some way to get this person into their best self. And you can't make somebody want to improve themselves. You can't make somebody give up their past or change their opinion. But I had so much potential for this particular person, and I mean, I'm not bitter that we all sort of moved on in our own directions. I just think it was not the best way of dealing with things, and I understand that men and women's views of dealing with things are different. And sure, you're going to have no contact with somebody if you sort of don't feel comfortable around them, or you've got some issues or whatever. But then sometimes if you're not open about these issues and you give out the wrong signals, it can be difficult. For me, I'm kind of see things a bit black and white. I don't mind, innuendo between a woman and a bloke, no problem. That's not. But I need to know where I am on the page, basically. And there's the kind of how you do it. I need to be able to read your body language. So, if a woman comes up to me randomly, squeezes my backside, and she doesn't really explain her actions, I'm going to be left a little confused by that. And so is she flirting? Is there more to it than that? Or was she just playing a game with me? I've got 3 different scenarios, but I can only figure it out in singularity because that's how my mind works. It's going to be looking at that event, because with guys, we tend to remember the things we do, actual physical things. We might not remember what we said, but we certainly remember where we was and what we done. So, he knows he had an argument, he just can't remember exactly the full context. He might have remembered sort of the outcome, he kept it fairly brief in his head, what that meant. But for that woman, she might have actually taken a bit more of an analytical look at it and remembered a lot more detail of what happened. She was more aware. When you get to an argument, she was more switched on, taking in all the information and communication. And basically, I think with the neuroscience, they see with a woman's brain it'll light up, while a guy might actually, other areas, like he might be preparing to be a bit more combative. So he might lose some of he might almost have a speech impediment. He might I want to go now, I've had enough. He might be very, very different. It's more the reptilian brain, while she might be bombarding him with all sorts of things and reasoning his behaviour, and he might be sort of want to stick to a path of logical debate, like, look, you're wrong, and you're wrong for this reason, and then why she might say, well, then you did this and this, and you did this and that, and then he's got to have to reason all this other stuff, and it just actually provokes some sort of raised stress levels and the cortisol levels. So usually there's a period of time where you just need to break off and do your own thing for a bit. And that's just the way we are, all different. It's not a problem. It's trying to understand that a bit more. But for me, I got kind of mixed signals, played along a bit, and the woman's lovely in her own way, but she's had a lot of trauma. She's kind of damaged in some ways, and there's also a very beautiful soul inside that person. I mean, I don't fall in love with somebody because I'm desperate to fall in love with them or anything like that. She just resonated on certain levels, and it was regrettable that I couldn't have at least had a decent conversation. But what she had was, for her condition, she had a kind of like relapse, and I actually think that chunks of her memory have been blanked out. There's no way I can have a conversation. It's like somebody got amnesia. Like, well, I don't remember that. So if you flirt with me or you do this and then suddenly you don't remember it, it's very difficult. And if I'm sort of like, well, I think you've got feelings for me because I've got a singularity complex in my brain and I see the world in a particular way. It's just the way I'm designed. Unless we have a conversation around these things, my mind will not adapt in the same way. And then once the reptilian part of the brain's active, that's what happens with your sort of the love part of it. You get a load of chemicals released in your brain. It becomes like a strong addiction. It is now the brain says this woman's family and you've got to protect her and do anything for her. And all these other strange behaviour comes out. So you're not really quite yourself. So, I mean, for me it was quite a devastating experience because I was entering this area that I didn't plan to go into. Then she had this kind of relapse. She didn't really explain what was going on with her. But I felt kind of like I wanted to protect her more. That's what it did. But I mean, personally, I think it could have gone a lot better. And when you're cut off, when you get caught up in email, so I hate email relationships. And it's difficult not to get involved with that nowadays. It's not something I'm so much used to. And if you upset someone in an email, you just blank you completely. You kind of. I haven't had that closure because I prefer to talk to a person to get closure, not then have it for an email. I want nothing more to do with you or whatever, you know, we're done or whatever. It doesn't. It reads a bit different in an email. So I mean, it's quite. It's clear. You read something quite clear in an email. It's just that if you cared about anyone at any level, it's best to speak to them. I mean, I had this with I went on a blind date with this woman, and she was damaged, and I didn't really feel this connection. And I sensed there might be some health problems with her as well that she didn't sort of get into. So I said, let's just go out as friends. We went out as friends a couple of times and stuff. She did the kind of thing because I wasn't really into her. She said, "Oh, well, why don't we just go back to your place?" We went back to my place for a bit, and then she wanted to get it on, but I thought, no, I'm not really into her really. So it's a bit. I didn't really understand. And then there's other things she said. I mentioned about some tattoos she was going to change, and I thought, oh God. So she got her ex written on her body or something. I thought, oh my God. So it was a little bit nothing I want to read on someone's body. My property of Dave or something. So anyway, yeah. So the thing is, though, what happened is that she wanted to. She said she admitted that she's a bit messed up and she wanted to reconnect at some level. And so I kept her on Facebook, no problem there. And then I don't even remember giving my phone number, but she phoned me up and on my landline, and then she sort of sounded like she was in a panic. So I had a chat and I said, look, you know, it's nice spending time with you. I just don't really feel the same way, and that's why really. And then but I didn't, you know, I basically put her down quite gentle, and I mean that's why really. And I'm just not feeling that way at the moment. Sort of looking for that, and I think I wouldn't really because it's just a lot of work. If you're not healthy in yourself, you shouldn't be looking for a relationship. You just need to work on yourself. And I know that some people, they may have a permanent illness in the way, or a condition, or a problem, or something happened when I was younger, or whatever. And it's not easy to sort out, but that's just bloody life, really, isn't it? And I would say it was hugely helpful. Some of the research I did online, like the MGTOW, Love Advice TV, you know, different things around letters and separating emotion from it and stuff like that. It was all good. It was all useful because you need to look for tools to cope and to try to think things forward. If you're in a kind of weird situation you don't normally go, because I don't really give a crap about relationships most of the time. It's just every now and then you meet somebody that it basically just spins you completely 360, and that's the issue really, being in unfamiliar territory. And then there's also the deep realisation that the person you felt feelings for wasn't there at all. That the person, maybe they didn't have the good intentions you thought they did. And I was thinking about it, thinking, well, you know, like, she's giving you things she thinks you want, but they come across like junk, to be honest. And my mum recently did this to me. I bought myself some new boots, and I said I need to get some new footwear for my foot, and because my old footwear was hurting my feet, I need to get some new boots. So I got these like boots, like things that police would wear, and they're great. But Mum decided that my dad's got a pair of shoes that he doesn't wear or hasn't worn, and that I could have them because they'd be similar size feet. And then the idea of wearing your own dad's shoes is really unattractive. It's like wearing his clothes or stuff. Who wants to wear their parents' clothes? And I mean, she must understand that it's like her wanting to wear her mum's dress or something, you know. But so she's given me something because she can't stand to throw it away, thinking it might have value. But I look at them and think, well, they are not, you know. I mean, they're shoes, but they're not my style, and they actually remind me of my dad. So I don't know. I'll probably keep them there as a memento of him or something. Just stick them nail them to a wall or turn to a bit of artwork. My dad's shoes or something. Forever can never be filled. It'd be something like that, and then blooming spray them gold or something. Yeah, but I can see this kind of odd grooming, nurturing behaviour, and it's not the same. If I give gifts, I go and buy something fucking new most of the time, or I find something I've selected I considered quite valuable. Like I make somebody something and give it to them. I don't just look around my flat and think, I'll tell you what, I'll give them some old stuff, and I'll pretend it's something I really thought of, they think they would really want. And at the time, if you like the person, you kind of think, oh, that's nice of them. And you're thinking, why are they, you know, it was a bit of hit and miss. It was like she started giving me all these jam jars. Oh, you like doing experiments and stuff, so I thought I'd give you a jam jar. Yeah, it's nice, you washed them up and so on, but do I really want loads of glass bottles? I was looking at it thinking, I live in a flat, I don't live in a bloody massive house. I wasn't rude, but I should have just said, look, I'm not really into that, you know. Or she gave me some book I could do, like a book of shadows in it, and I thought, no, not really. It's probably been bought by another boyfriend for her. I don't want it, really. You know, I want meaningful objects. Make an effort. Don't sort of pander me off. But that's kind of a tactic there. It's kind of like grooming you with things you don't want. I mean, maybe men do similar things. I don't know. Maybe we try to splash out a bit on women because we think it gives us sort of access to them at some other level. But it's not because we materially want to own a part of them. It's an expression of our feelings, basically, because money, we like to earn it. It's power, that's what it represents. I'm giving you some of my energy. But then if someone's like totally, you know, they won't even give you a hug or something, you know, it's kind of, you feel like you're being used, it's kind of irritating. But then gifts, you don't expect it in return anyway. So that was all. It's all useful. I mean, the outcome of all this stuff is basically I have nothing to do with her. And I mean, if I do see her, she'll be seeing me when I'm at most successful. And then, you know, if she feels bad about it or she feels nothing, so what? But if she feels bad about it, she should have really looked at what she'd done. We could have been friends from the outcome of what, you know. But I don't think she has very good relationships with men. Period, and she tends to blur the lines a little bit. So if you're kind of flirting with a guy at one level, and then you're pulling away, then you're forgetting things that have happened and things you've said. You know, if it's a bit like there's a thing, not something about Mary, but there's one where this person it was like you have to have 100 first dates or something. So it's like that. I mean, it never that successful, but it might have been like that. It may have been that she'd keep forgetting things, her health would go up and down, and ultimately she'd be quite ill at some point in her life. It's one of them sad things, but I had so much energy I was putting in to try to fix her health problems and make her... Oh. That's nice of him. Driving like a loony. I don't know why. Do you know what they say? Some people try to save time, but what are they saving it for? Now I've got this person up my arse. If they get silly, I'll say, what the fuck? You're just driving around a roundabout. I'm not turning around a roundabout. You don't know, some people just, I don't know, maybe they've got a genuine emergency, just act like lunatics sometimes. So yeah, so basically I've learned a lot. I've grown as a person. I mean, if anyone is in a tough situation, no contact, fasting, work on yourself, it's going to be hard because some parts of you can't close down. Like that reptilian brain. Diet definitely helped. Meditation helped. Heartful meditation. It was all about feelings, just getting into, just feeling yourself, and also reconnect yourself. Start doing some of your old hobbies. You should know what you're into. If you like gaming, buy yourself the best fucking game out there. Get playing it. You know, but obviously you still want to isolate yourself all the time. However, if you get a buzz or an obsession out of a game, it's something I mentioned before about addiction. You're replacing one with the other. So if you've got an obsession about somebody, you can drive that in. You might be okay. It might be hard to shut them down completely in your head. And then also try to move on a bit and just connecting, like being around women was great, or if you're a woman, being around guys, and same, just find a hobby, something you do enjoy doing. Usually women cope quite well because they're more used to creating relationships and moving on as well. Men are not so often. They basically rely on each other quite a bit, and it's also the dynamics are always going to be different. I was talking to a woman today, and basically her husband's in hospital. I asked her, does she miss him? She said, yeah, he used to do lots of things. So this guy does lots of little jobs around the home, and she misses him for that reason, not because of his company, which is funny. You know, it's a bit like if she was in the hospital, he'd miss her because he loves her. He would miss her because she's tidying up all the time. So it's sometimes what you bring to the table. So it's very interesting. That's like this thing about, we mentioned that men are into things and remember events and actions. So he speaks for his actions. That's what it is. I mean, that's pretty much the secret of attraction for guys. If you can actually deliver what you say physically, then you're great. I mean, if you like to debate things and never get things done, then you're not so great, because there's lots of people out there that can do that. There's not that many people out there who can just say, right, okay, leave it with me, I'll get it sorted, and then get on and do it. They get the pride from it, and then also the woman feels, well, that was great, he's really helpful, supportive, he's a doer, he's this, he's that. So I'm not against the dynamics of relationships. It's just that we sometimes need to readdress them. And also people with different types of addiction. There's a lot of it, some communication addiction, social media addiction. That can be pretty bad. People just on their phones constantly. And it might be difficult to have a relationship if they're not in the room most of the time. And if you find yourself doing it too much, just put your phone out the room or put it aside. You don't need to have it on you all the time. You don't know the problem until you could look at it. So that's it, that's better. That's better. Anyways, Picture signing off from this video, and I will speak to you soon.